A major part of my mission to climb the 7 summits was always to bring awareness to the disparity in access to healthcare around the world. This was never more apparent than arriving in Kathmandu, Nepal before my climb of Mount Everest, Chomolungma as the Sherpas know it. Our first day in the country, I, along with my friend Patrick and his team from Believe Limited, went to visit patients around the area. We wanted to get a sense of what a day in their life looked like. What were their challenges they faced? Is care improving for them? It was an overwhelming day. We learned about a family losing their home to an earthquake, a mother losing her eldest son, and then we convened at a small shop on a busy street where residents hustled around, getting on and off the bus. This is where we met Jakitman. He sells and repairs small electronic items. Several years prior, he had developed a pseudotumor on his leg. Without surgery, his life would have ended. The tumor would have continued to enlarge, eventually deteriorating the rest of his body. He was flown to India to have his leg amputated. It saved his life, but opened up several new challenges. A donor helped provide a prosthetic leg, but he needed to find a way to support himself and his family. That is where Save One Life stepped in. Jakitman always had a passion for electronics, so Save One Life helped him attend a program to learn how to repair electronics. He was then able to start his business. The plan was entirely his. He chose a location close to a bus stop, with easy access to his parents' house and close to his brother Monsoon. Jakitman is a quiet young man, but you could see the pride on his face. After talking for a while, the line at his shop was getting so long, and he needed to get back to work. So we started chatting with his brother, who was happy to tell us about their story, about the cultural pressures surrounding their hemophilia, the familial pressures, and the stigmas that come from living with a disorder. My name is Chris Bombardier, and I'm a mountaineer with hemophilia. From 2011 to 2018, I successfully climbed the 7 summits, the tallest mountain on each of the 7 continents. But when that journey was over, I realized my next adventure was just beginning. I soon began my advocacy work with Save One Life to bring help, compassion, and resources to the bleeding disorder community around the world. And most importantly, learn from them about the challenges they face and what we can do to educate and help. Global healthcare is full of its own peaks and valleys. And if there's anything I learned climbing the 7 summits, it's that there's always another mountain to climb. This is the final summit, Season 2, The World After the Mountains.
The next segment is brought to you by Genentech. Genentech provides real stories from real people in the hemophilia community to help you navigate through your own journey. To hear the experiences of other people living with hemophilia A, please visit www.helpwithhemophilia.com.
This is Monsoon.
Hello and namaste. I'm Jagat Rajbahag and people call me Monsoon. I belongs to Bhaktapur, which is the city of Kathmandu Valley. I have a bachelor degree in graphic communication. As a professional, I'm a graphic designer and visual artist. I'm a person with hemophilia, severe, type A, and there are other family members also hemophilia. My younger brother, he has also hemophilia with high titer inhibitor. And there is another, a small boy, James. He is my nephew, and he is 4 years old now.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you and your brother were diagnosed with hemophilia?
Yeah, actually, it's a long story. There was no history before me. Suddenly, when I was around 2.5 years old, my parents found me as blue patches in my body, and my knees and my elbow it got swelling when I was crawling. And they visited so many hospitals to find out the problem, but they couldn't. And when I was 2.5 years old, some doctors, they suggested us it could be the blood disease. So we went to Teku lab, and finally I got diagnosed as a hemophilia.
And was your brother tested when he was born because of your diagnosis?
Immediately my parents, they went to lab and they tested my brother, and he also became a hemophilia patient more than severe than me. So it was a shocking moment for my parents. Both guys have hemophilia, and they came to know it's a genetic one, and if they will get more babies and they will get more boys, then definitely it will be that transfer. So that's why they stop it to having babies.
What was treatment like when you were younger with hemophilia in Nepal? What was the access to clotting factor, or what did you do when you had bleeds?
I can say there was no any proper treatment while I was diagnosed as a hemophilia. It was 2018 when the factor was came to Nepal for the first time.
Wow.
And before that, like factor was a faraway dream for us.
Yeah.
We never heard about the factor, and if factor is infused, then our pain will relieve. So before 2080, it was a very painful time, and somehow we started to having clotting factors as an on-demand base,
Yeah.
and still we are having on-demand factors. That's a good thing. But situation when I was diagnosed and today's situation is little bit different.
Can you share a little bit about what it was like for your family to understand that they had two boys with hemophilia? What did that mean for the family, and how did that impact their future?
As you well know about the situation of developed country and developing country, and it's a very different, as you also see in Nepal. People are just, what they are thinking is, this is the kind of stigma, right? This is a kind of stigma. So that's why this family and these people are having this kind of problem. And the main thing is, immediately when the two brothers became with a hemophilia patient, first of all, my father, he was forced by my grandparents to get second marriage.
Oh, wow.
They learned that the hemophilia is transferred from the female carrier.
Right.
So they are blaming to my mother.
Right.
But the situation was not like that, because my parents, they got love married.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they love each other very much. And my father, he loves my mother very much. So that's why he never thought about that a second marry. And instead of that, he always ready to care about his hemophilic sons and his family also. Father, he was the real hero and real man. So that was a very painful time for my family and for us too. When I was growing up, like one thing I can say, most of the time I spend my life in my childhood in my room.
Yeah.
Because of pain. I always see my friends, they are running and they are playing outside. My friends' parents, they teach from their family, don't play with him or don't go to his house. If you play with him, then you also will have hemophilia.
Oh, wow.
Like, so my friends, they scared to play with me.
Wow.
They saw my situation, like my knee is swelling.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm having gum bleeding and everywhere blood, and they're scared. And their parents, they used to say, even touching them is very scary. If you will touch him, he could bleed. So that it is better to not visiting and not playing with them.
Yeah.
Just keep far away from them. So that most of the time that I and my brother, we spend very lonely time, very isolating time in my home.
That sounds so difficult, and I think it's amazing what your father did, just committing to making sure his boys were taken care of.
I'm a lucky person that I found my father as my parents, and I heard from different my hemophilia friends, they used to say most of the people who left their wives just because of hemophilia. I can remember one that my dad's dream was to become a boxer, my son. And my mom's dream was that he will build a new house for us. That's a big dream of my mom. So why my mom said like that is, being a boy, being a man in a family, his responsibility is having a good academic qualification, and he will earn enough money, and he will get married a beautiful and the intellectual woman, and he will be the respective people of the society. He can contribute his own community and he can contribute as nation-wise as well. So this kind of thing, most of the people that they expect from the man in common society. And ladies, they will sit in home, and most of the household thing they will done by women's. So most of the responsibilities that need to bear by the men. Meanwhile, the problem is when having a hemophilia mean that the person with hemophilia will not do these all things in a proper manner. They used to say he's already as a disabled, he's very ill person, so that we can't expect anything from him. He's nothing, he can't do anything in his life. He can't take proper academic qualification first. And if they will have no academic certificate, then they will not get any good job. Even they can't do any physical jobs and work, so that for contribution base they will do nothing. I was very demotivating when I was young time because of this kind of scenario in our society and culture. Having hemophilia man is sick all the time, and he is very far away from the medical access and treatment. So that being a hemophilia in our society, in our culture, mean it's a very big thing, and these kind of people have no secure life. Even insurance companies also they are very scared. They are very narrow-minded for caring for hemophilia in Nepal. So what I'm saying like that in every step of life, people they expect what they expect with the normal people, and they can't expect with that the person with hemophilia just because of their illness and their physical condition. How I came out from that is I self-motivated.
The stigmas surrounding bleeding disorders aren't exclusive to the people in Nepal. I've experienced them firsthand here in America, even with great access to care and a wonderfully supportive family. But those stigmas exist in schools, in workplaces, and in communities. As a kid, I never felt like I was a real man because of my hemophilia. I would often hide my bruises and my pain from the other kids, and from myself, because I didn't want to feel like I was less than them. What I didn't understand was that I wasn't less than anyone. I was just different. One of the keys I've discovered in my own hemophilia journey is exactly what Monsoon has found. That self-motivation and self-actualization comes first. When you accept you for who you are, it opens the door to others in your family and community. We can spend far too much time wallowing in self-pity, but that won't change anything. It leaves you depressed and alone, and feeds into the stigmas that others might have. Your first step is looking inwards, no matter your circumstance.
What was the key for you to self-motivate? How did you reframe your life to convince yourself that you could achieve? You have a bachelor's degree, you're successful. What changed in your mind, and how did you motivate yourself to make that change?
I saw a quote one time when I was able to read English. It was said, I doesn't choose hemophilia, but hemophilia chosen us. So what I came to know that if hemophilia is chosen me, then there is no choice to go far away from that. I should accept that challenge. Life is life. Life is beautiful. Even every people have different kind of problem. If I'm having hemophilia, then it's fine. Some people are having cancer. Some people are having other problem. I have to accept that. First of all, when I was alone in home, I suffered a lot. I was disturbed mentally and physically. When I grown up, when I came to the teenager, I visited Nepal Hemophilia Society. And at that time, met some friends there who has the same kind of problem. And now I understand. I'm not a single boy who have hemophilia. There are so many people are suffering same in a same way. So that's why I started living in different way. I must accept this challenge, and there are so many challenges like achievement for the academic
Yeah.
aspect. And my parents, they will be old sometime, then definitely as a being a man, I need to take care of them.
Yeah.
So if I stay in home, in if I stay in a room whole life, then I could not do anything. So I need to go move forward. Most of the people, they scared to meet me, they scared to friendship with me. But I thank to the Lord, because a lady, she came to me who very cares to me. They are very sad when I having bleedings and when I'm having pains, and she become my best friend. And I'm so lucky to have get married with my best friend, and she is also motivating all the times. She knew everything about me, like my medical condition and my problems. Even she all the time she cares me like she is a nurse for me.
Yeah.
So one more family member added who really loves me and really care for me.
I connect so much to your story because it has so many similarities to mine. I didn't grow up knowing anybody else with hemophilia, and I resented it. I was mad that I had hemophilia. And then I met the Hemophilia Society in Colorado and met other people with hemophilia, and it felt amazing to not feel alone, that I was the only person struggling with it, and it helped me motivate myself as well. That was a very powerful moment for me. And then hearing your story about meeting your wife and how accepting she was of your condition, my wife is exactly the same. She wasn't scared of the hemophilia. She was just there to help support. And I think that's amazing to find that community and that person, that partner that believes in you, which is amazing. My last question is, what do you hope for in the future for hemophilia in Nepal, and your nephew, I think it is, that has hemophilia as well? What do you hope for his future?
Yeah, so I'm the bridge of the everything what happening in Nepal. I think I suffered a lot as a being a hemophilia patient. When I was diagnosed, there was no hemophilia society in Nepal. There was no proper treatment. There was no factors. So that was the time I suffered. From that day, I'm growing and I'm growing until the date. I have met so many person with hemophilia in Nepal. Even I visited very rare places where the people are suffering hemophilia in village areas. They even can't come to city area for treatment. I have seen so many people who lost their life. They are some of my friends, they are some of my younger people, and they are some of elderly people, but they lost their life because of hemophilia. And most of the people I can see, they are being disabled day by day. And most of the people, they are rejected by their family. Most of the people, they are rejected by their own soulmate and life partners. And most of the people are losing their job, and most of the people, they are just skipping their schooling and college just because of hemophilia. There are so many problems. So I'm watching these all things. So my vision and my aim is, what I suffer, what my brother and I suffer, this should not be repeated to the next generation, like my nephew. I want to see my nephew without any disability and any bad physical condition. So that's mean I want to see all the generation from Nepal. They could be far from disability. So if we get proper treatment, and if we get timely diagnosed and proper treatment, and if we can enough educate factors, then life can be easy in Nepal as well. I'm very motivated when I met you, Chris. You are my superhero, and when we are struggling for taking a step of stairs, it is very hard to taking a step of our stair in our home. At that time, we came to know that there are people who can climb the Mount Everest. This is the most challenging thing. This is a faraway dream for developing people. But if we have proper treatment and if we timely diagnosed and if we have a proper treatment, then hemophilia is nothing. It's just a part of life. It's just a condition of health which can be maintained by the treatment. If we also can have facilitated by medicine, then why we can't live like you? When I was in the board, we focused on treatment and we collaborate with WFS and even Seven Life and some other donors. They are saving lives in developing countries. In the same way, my dream is if we can manage this treatment sector, then the new generation, they will not be disabled. And people who already, like me, there are people who are suffering hemophilia. By time, they losing their mobility and they might suffer from other diseases as well, not only hemophilia. There might be other diseases as well that comes by the time. And if we have proper treatment for all, then that the hemophilia will be solved. So it might be far, but it is possible.
Absolutely.
It is possible if we can do something for our new generation.
Jaketman and Monsoon's story is hopeful. It takes a lot of courage to not just embrace your disability, but to thrive. To understand that you don't have to succumb to the hardships of social and cultural pressure. But all too often, those who are suffering are shunned by their families and societies. So who can you turn to? Find a way to connect to those who love you, to let them know you are more than just your disability, to find a passion that transcends your limitations. For people with bleeding disorders, it doesn't define who they are. It's just one part of their whole being. Part of that is educating others, but an even bigger part is believing in yourself. Next episode, we'll travel to Africa and explore the value of education, about how knowing more is a wonderful opportunity to raise everyone's awareness and ability to treat bleeding disorders on a global scale.
I think this kind of education instills them a sense of social responsibility. They are able to be responsible citizens.
I'm Chris Bombardier. Until next time, keep climbing your own mountain.
The final summit is produced by BloodStream Media. Learn more at bloodstreammmedia.com. This episode is hosted by Chris Bombardier, written by Drew Johnson, edited by Greg Bernard, produced by Keith Corneluck, executive produced by Patrick James Lynch. The final summit was also made possible by support from Genentech. Visit genentechhemophilia.com to take a look at how they are supporting the hemophilia community.